Recording. So I'm going to do my introduction one more time. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2021 SLNC Elections Candidate Forum. Thank you so much for being here. We are going to be introducing you to the candidates who are vying to represent you on your Silver Lake Neighborhood Council Governing Board for the next 2 years. We've got 26 candidates. We've got 9 at-large candidates. And we've got 18 regional candidates. Real quick, are there any other candidates in the attendees right now? Okay, so let me just give you a little brief explanation. So neighborhood councils, what's a neighborhood council? We are the most local form of government possible. By the way, my name is Nick Fox Robbins, and I'm the current co-chair of the Silver Lake Neighborhood Council Governing Board. I'm also the co-chair of the election committee, and I am not running for the next term, so I'm going to be facilitating this along with Charlie Mims, who I will introduce in a moment. Neighborhood council is the most local form of government. We are an advocacy form of government. We are a board comprised of 21 representatives. Neighborhood councils do not pass legislation, but they do have a budget and they do have a strong advocacy influence over other forms of government and things that directly relate to the Silver Lake community. There are, as I said, 21 representatives, 7 at-large representatives currently on the board, and 14 regional representatives. There are 7 regions in Silver Lake. Silver Lake is split into 7 different regions, and each region has 2 candidates or 2 representatives. So that's 7 regions, 2 representatives, 14 total regional, and then 7 at large, which is sort of like the bigger picture Silver Lake, and there are 7 of those. So that's 21 total. And we have 9 at-large candidates, which means 7 out of those 9 will be elected to represent you. And we have 18 regional candidates out of a total of 14 spots. There are 4 regions that have candidates that are running uncontested. So that means that there are 2 candidates running in that election, but you will still have an opportunity to meet those candidates today. They will be able to introduce themselves and answer questions. And then we have 3 regions, regions 1, 2, and 5, which have 3 candidates, and 2 of them will be elected. The elections are on April 6th, and this is entirely a vote by mail election, which means you need to register to vote by mail. You need to register to get your ballot. The registration window to get your ballot closes on March 30th. You must be registered to vote by March 30th. You can register to vote by going to the Silver Lake Neighborhood Council website, silverlakenc.org. All the information that you will need to register to vote is on that website. If you need assistance in registering to vote, the Silver Lake Neighborhood Council is running registration info sessions where we will walk you through step by step how to register to vote by mail. It's a different process than on state, city, or national elections. It's a very unique process to the neighborhood council. There's no shame in asking for help. We will support you. And it is a 10-minute session. And in that 10-minute session, you will walk away registered to vote. We have 6 more sessions to support people to register to vote. We've got 2 sessions on March 23rd, 2 sessions on March 24th, and 2 sessions on March 29th. They're all from 6 to 7 p.m. And you can sign up for those by going to silverlakenc.org, and there will be election information there. There's an election poster right on the front of the website. You click that, it'll take you to our elections section of our of the neighborhood council, and all the information you need will be there. When you receive your ballot must be received in the mail no later than April 16th. So that's 10 days after the election deadline, right? So the election is April 6th. your ballot can be received up to 10 days after the election. We also have a drop box location. So if you don't want to mail your ballot, you still have to register to vote by mail, but you get that ballot in the mail. And if you don't want to mail it back, you can drop it off at our Dropbox location, which is at the Silver Lake Branch Library at 2411 Glendale Boulevard. Again, all information that you will need for the election is on silverlakenc.org. You can also look at the email that is my name on my Zoom, which is SLNC election 2021 at gmail.com. And you can email us with any election questions that you may have, and we will support you. So, I told you what an NC is. I told you how to vote. Told you when to vote. Told you about the info sessions. Now, let me tell you about what we're doing here. We're going to meet our candidates. Each candidate is going to have an opportunity to introduce themselves. Each candidate is going to get 2 minutes to introduce themselves. And then we are going to do a round of 3 questions per candidate. We're going to go in alphabetical order per section of candidate. So we're going to go at-large candidates, and then we're going to go all the contested regions. So that would be regions 1, 2, and 5. And within each region, we'll go alphabetical order. And then we'll do the uncontested candidates and the uncontested regions, regions 3, 4, 6, and 7. The candidates have not received the questions in advance. What else do I need to tell you? We have a timer. As you can see here, it says blue sky timer. All candidates are going to, see, I'm doing a little timer test here. Of course, right when I need it, the timer's not working.
It's on.
It is on, you can see it. You can see the timer going. Oh, that's weird.
Yes.
I can't see it moving. Okay, great. So all candidates will be asked to be using the timer. There will be it'll be yellow after when you have 30 seconds left. It'll be red when you have 10 seconds left. We have a lot to do today. So we really can't have candidates going over time. I'm going to ask you to self-regulate. Please don't put me in the position to mute you, but I will do it. It will not be out of any disrespect, but out of respect for all candidates, so that we all have the same amount of time and so that we can all have the same amount of opportunity to share our ideas with people. Again, I encourage you to wrap up your thoughts when you see 10 seconds left. Wrap them up. I do not want to cut you off mid-thought, but I will. So, all that being said, I'm going to now introduce our host for the event, and that is Mr. Charlie Mims. Charlie Mims has served in the city of Los Angeles for over 40 years. He has served on several city commissions, including the Charter Reform Commission. He has served on the commission for the Los Angeles City Employees Retirement System. He's one of the founders of the Greater Griffith Park Neighborhood Council, which is now called the Los Feliz Neighborhood Council. And he currently serves on the Police Permit Review Panel and is the executive director of the Los Angeles Professional Managers Association. Charlie is born and raised in Los Angeles, and he attended both UC Santa Cruz and UCLA. So let's all please give a warm welcome to Mr. Charlie Mims, who will be our host for the event.
Well, thanks everyone. It's good to be here with you this afternoon, and it's good to see a fresh crop of new faces that want to serve their area in the neighborhood council. I just wanted to go into a little more detail on the Q&A. The first thing we're going to do is go through the 3 groups, each one in alphabetical order, and ask you to take 2 minutes to introduce yourself to the community. We'd like you to tell us what you want to accomplish during your time on the neighborhood council and what your vision is while you're on the neighborhood council. After that, we're going to go into a series of questions. We have 3 questions total, and I'll ask the questions as they come up. And we're going to basically use the same format there. We're going to go ask each person at large the question, alphabetical order, and then the people in the regions that are contested, and then the people in the regions that are not contested. And even though you're running in a region that's not contested, we wanted the community to have an opportunity to get to know you a little bit better. Is there any questions on any of the procedure? Okay, well, hearing none, let's jump right into it. And the first opportunity for you to speak will be to introduce yourself and let people know what you want to accomplish while you're on the neighborhood council and your vision for your time on the neighborhood council. So we're going to start with the at-large representatives in alphabetical order. So first will be Albert Andrade. Albert?
And I'm sorry, just real quick, I just want to reconfirm that people can see the timer ticking down right now. Yes? Okay, great. Because for some reason it's not showing up on mine. That's good to know. All right. Sorry, Albert, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Albert. Pronouns are he, him. Just want to take a moment to thank the election committee for organizing this, for Charlie Mims for moderating, and for the entire slate of candidates that are running here today. Neighborhood councils are volunteer positions, so people taking out the time on a Saturday and potentially for the next 2 years to dedicate their work to our local issues is important to me. I'm a native Angelino. I've lived in LA my entire life. And what that means specifically, I've lived in every single neighborhood. I lived in Playa Vista, I lived in Van Nuys, I lived in Hollywood. I've lived all over the place, but now I'm here in Silver Lake and I want to make a difference. I am the child of immigrants. My mom is from Mexico, my father is from the Philippines. And part of the reason we moved so much was because we were housing insecure. And a lot of the issues for us was we weren't able to find the resources for ourselves because not everyone speaks the language. And so as it relates to our hopes and goals and vision for the neighborhood council, first and foremost, I want to represent all of you. I want to make sure I'm doing my best job to make sure all your needs are being met. But that also includes our Spanish-speaking populations and folks that have historically been sort of marginalized by institutions. And one of the main things I want to do is provide some Spanish language accessibility options in our agendas, in our minutes, in our meetings, some translation options, because language justice is social justice, which means inclusivity and accessibility for our governments. I also have experienced a lot of things that are difficult to talk about as they relate to gun violence. And Silver Lake is no stranger to the issues of gun violence. And I want to make sure that while I'm here, I want to make sure everyone knows that we will reimagine public safety, which includes defunding the police and reallocating those services to the community. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Albert. And next up, we have Miranda Cristofani.
Thank you. I can't actually see the timer, so if you could give me a warning, that would be great.
I'll give you a 30-second warning.
Okay, thank you so much. My name's Miranda Cristofani. I am a production designer by trade. I'm a single mother. I've been a Silver Lake resident for about 20 years. I'm a union member, an activist, and a board member. I believe in social democracy, and my core beliefs that I found most of my decisions are transparency, accountability, inclusivity, and being democratic. Three of my core values are three things that I value, and I believe that we should be bringing to everything we do at the city council, the neighborhood council level, is people over profit is one of my personal philosophies. We're in a catastrophic human crisis, and we have been put in this place by putting money over people. And I believe that as a smaller microcosm of the bigger thing that's happening out there, that we as a city and we as a neighborhood council really need to be focusing on our community. And that leads me to just re-emphasizing community for all. That means police reform, that means people that are houseless, both committees that I've been partially active on, but plan on being more active on. We need to learn how to share our community. And like actually Albert said, we need to be really outreaching to all our community, and that includes people that have different languages. We should be 10 seconds to go? Okay. Okay. And then my other thing was outreach. I think we need to really improve our outreach. As a union member, I've learned how to
Thank you.
network, and I've learned how to be an organizer. So
Okay.
outreach is something that 100% I would focus on.
Thank
And
you, Miranda.
that includes language justice. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
And we're going to move on to our next at-large candidate, maybe a girl.
Maybe, can you see the timer?
Yes, I can.
Great, go ahead.
Hey, everybody. My name is Maybe. My pronouns are she, her, and they, them. And I am currently serving on the neighborhood council. It has been an absolute pleasure and honor to be a part of this neighborhood council for the past 2 years. And I am graciously seeking re-election. I hope that you will have me again. Some of the things that I've been really involved with on the council in the past 2 years have been forming the LGBTQIA Advocates Committee, which was the first LGBTQ focused committee of any of the 99 neighborhood councils across Los Angeles. And from that committee, we were able to form the Los Angeles LGBTQ Plus Alliance of Neighborhood Councils, which is the first city-backed LGBTQ organization in the entire city's history. So I'm super proud to be working on those issues. Some of the other issues that I'm very focused on are issues involving homelessness and speaking up and advocating for folks who are disenfranchised and who don't necessarily ordinarily have a voice in local governments. The past 2 years have been an incredible experience, especially this past year has been a huge learning experience. As we've gone through the pandemic and as we've learned how to adapt the neighborhood council, to these specific conditions. So I am very much looking forward to continuing to serve on the neighborhood council. And I hope that you will allow me to be reelected, and looking forward to the rest of the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Maybe. And next, we're going to move on to Seth Gottesdiener.
Thank you. Hi, and thank you, everyone. Thank you all the candidates for attending as well. My name is Seth Gottesdiener, and I'm running for an at-large position with the Silver Lake Rising Slate. I'm fortunate enough to live and work and own a gym in Region 5. It's called Indigo Fitness, and I'm a proud member of the LGBTQIA community. I consider myself an advocate for social justice, progressive change, and speaking up for marginalized and disenfranchised groups. This past year, I heard about Neighborhood Council because I was organizing and attending many protests and demonstrations, and I took it upon myself to learn more about grassroots government, and I found the Silver Lake Neighborhood Council, which I'm very lucky to have found. I'm totally in full support of exercising our First Amendment right, but I know that there's a lot of importance in local government and politics and how those can really be transformative. Some things that I hope to achieve in my time as a neighborhood candidate would be helping Silver Lake transition into a post-COVID world. As a business owner and just person who has lived through this past year, I know how hard it's affected people and how much information there has been out there, but yet how little it's been streamlined. I'd like to use my voice as a governing board member of the Neighborhood Council to help do so. I also want to be an advocate for progressive change. I want to reimagine public safety in Silver Lake and all of Los Angeles and offer my voice for marginalized people in the community. In general, I'm just very excited to learn, to experience local government, and to use my voice to help represent Silver Lake in the best way that I can. And I believe by showing people on a local level how we use our streets, our parks, how we support our business, how we support our community, we can set a national precedent. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you, Seth. And next we have up Arden Greer.
Hey, hi everyone. My name is Arden Greer. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm running for an at-large seat. I'm from Toronto, Canada, but I have lived in Silver Lake for 2 years. There is really nothing more important to me than engaging folks whose voices have been silenced for far too long. So, local politics, they affect all of us. And I want to focus on making the entire process or the entire system of neighborhood councils more accessible to all Angelenos. I recently realized that societal change, systemic change really comes down to two things: protest and policy. So we protest to reimagine public safety. We protest to prove that housing is a human right. We protest to protect and celebrate trans lives. And I'm running for neighborhood council because I'm interested in bridging the gap between the people who protest in the city and the people who write policy in the city. Safety has been in my heart and on my mind a lot recently, as I'm sure it has for everyone. And, you know, I wonder, why is it that we are okay with our most marginalized members of society feeling unsafe in their skin in our country, but in our, as well as our neighborhood in Silver Lake? I think it starts on a local level, and I think that everybody deserves to feel safe. So when trying to answer the question of, you know, what I want to accomplish if elected in the next 2 years in the term, the answer is a lot. I want to accomplish a lot. And, you know, but my sometimes overly optimistic attitude has served me well in the past in what I've been able to accomplish and in being able to accomplish a lot. And I hope it'll
Thank
serve
you,
me.
Arden. Your time's up. And next, we're going to be moving on to Parker Moss. Parker on board.
Are they in attendees by any chance? Is there any candidate that's in attendees still that perhaps arrived a few minutes late and needs to be made a panelist?
Let's just move on to Carolyn Park then, and if Parker's there, we'll come back to him.
All right.
Carolyn?
Hello. Thank you all for holding this forum, and thank you to the entire election committee and for everyone who is stepping up to make a difference for Silver Lake stakeholders. I am an attorney who works in union side labor, police misconduct, and sustainable economies. I actually grew up in Los Feliz, and then I graduated from Marshall High School, go Barristers. And I have lived in Silver Lake for at least 17 years. I've seen it change for the better in some ways, and I've seen it decline in other ways. And at this time in history, I'm keenly aware that I'm running when we're in dire need of leadership that's responsive to the unprecedented challenges that we face now as a neighborhood and as a city. And we're going to face some new challenges as we come out of the other side of this pandemic. So I'm running to make Silver Lake better for all stakeholders. That means, to me, getting stakeholders involved in making the change we want to see through language justice, outreach, and gaining the trust of our stakeholders, because too many people are disillusioned with city government and just don't see the point in getting involved. And the solutions to the issues we face, I see as twofold. One, systemic, and two, on the ground. We need on the ground.
Thank you, Carolyn, but you're out of time.
Okay, thanks.
We're going to move on now to Dulcie Stein. Dulcie?
Hi, everybody. My name is Dulce Stein. I am her. I'm she. Thank you for having me here today. Thank you for all of you being here today. I've been serving as the past 2 years as at-large representative, also in the Latinx committee and arts and culture. I am here before you today because I think that representation matters. I'm an immigrant. I learned how to speak English when I arrived when I was 20 years old. I'm 50 now. I have been an advocate all of my life. I don't know how to be anything else. And I do it with all my heart. Like Albert said, this is and I don't know why I'm nervous right now. I am a stakeholder in the city of Silver Lake for the last 6 years. I've been running the Neutra Museum, where we promote inclusivity. I would like to accomplish in the next 2 years more participation, to reach out to my community in my own language and to let them know that I can do it, anybody else can do it, and we can all work together and make this a better place, a better planet even. I represent several groups of my community. I'm also an epileptic, so I have many challenges that have thrown very obstacles for me, but I try my best, and I want you to know that if I do serve, if you consider me, and I am part of this magnificent place that is the Silver Lake Neighborhood Council, I will do it with all my heart. Thank you for considering me.
Thank you, Dulcie. And next up, we have Imran Said.
Can I see the timer? I don't see it.
I'm sorry.
I'll give you an alert.
Okay, it is starting now. So we'll give you a 30-second and a 10-second.
Thank you. My name is Imran Sayed. My pronouns are he, him. I am currently the Region 4 representative, and I'm seeking re-election to run at large. For work, I've been a criminal defense attorney for about 10 years, and I've lived in Silver Lake for about 5. I'm also the co-chair of the homelessness committee. Every Wednesday, you can find me at the food pantry. It's one of the best days of my week. I believe that the Silver Lake Neighborhood Council is a very unique experience. I feel being on it is a blessing. I feel like it's a blessing to live in this community. That doesn't mean that we don't have issues or we shouldn't sugarcoat the issues that we have. I mean, I myself struggle with these issues myself. I'm looking to expand. Me and my partner, we're looking to start a family, but we struggle with space and finding appropriate housing. These are issues that everybody goes through in Silver Lake, but I also believe that being involved and being part of committees is one of the best ways to be a part of the Silver Lake neighborhood community. When I first ran, I didn't make it for Region 4, and I remember Nick Fox Robbins reached out to me and he said, hey, make sure you still try to be a part of the committees. And I think committees are very important. So regardless of this outcome of this election, I hope to be re-elected at large, but I look forward to working with everyone here in the committees and further getting to know more stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Imran. And we're going to continue through the introductory statements for all the candidates. And then we'll go back and pick up the questions, and we'll do that by at-large groups, and then the contested regions, and then the uncontested regions. So next up from Region 1 is John Botticella. Is John here?
Does it look like John's here? John, are you in the attendees by any chance? Are there any candidates that are in the attendees?
Well, in that case, let's go on to Kristen Eggermeyer, and we can pick up John later if he comes in. Kristen?
Hi, everybody. I'm Kristen Eggermeyer, she, her. I'm originally from the LA area, but I lived back east for about 8 years and now have been a proud Silver Lake resident for the last 6 years here with my partner and 2 pups. I'm an actor, writer, and freelance operations manager for small businesses, including environmental, IT startups, and other nonprofit companies. I thoroughly believe in serving community, and in fact, it's been a cornerstone of my foundation. I grew up around agriculture and know what a privilege it is to grow your own food. I love having my own little Silver Lake garden, but I believe everyone should have access to fresh, nutritious food. One of the places I volunteer with is a group called Food Forward that collects excess fruits and veggies and connects this abundance to people experiencing food insecurity. And one of my primary goals is to inspire more of this type of work here in Silver Lake for our neighbors. The Silver Lake Green Committee has been doing really great work, and I would love to keep learning from them and working with them on this issue and really so many others. Many of us have an excess of fruit on our trees, and I would love to get more of our neighbors involved in this work. I would also like to see more community gardens, especially on our empty lots that can actually serve our food insecure neighbors. This work also goes hand in hand with urban development, and I aim to slow the building of giant developers that take away from pedestrian and cycling safety for all of us. This is a very inclusive thing I believe in. I believe in inclusivity, but this is really something that so many of us have to use transportation on our streets, and we need to protect that.
Can you see the timer, Kristen?
We need to save our unique architecture and create existing actual affordable housing. And having worked with small businesses for the last 10 plus years, I know the incredible value they bring to the community. I proudly support Silver Lake's wonderful, diverse local businesses. And I also admire the work that's being done with our new Silver Lake Fridge and will aim to insist in continuing such programming. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kristen. And next up is Sydney Whitehead. And let me know if you can see the timer when you first come on, please. Sydney?
I don't see them here. So once again, if there's any candidates in the attendees, please feel free to raise your hand. And let's
Thank
move
you.
on, Charlie.
Okay, next we're going to move on to the Region 2 candidates, and we'll start with Nicole Antoine. Nicole?
Hi, everyone. My name is Nicole. I've been living in Silver Lake for 10 years. I'm a renter.
Nicole, can you see the timer?
No, I have my own.
Okay, thanks.
So my partner is an artist, and we're both avid bikers. I am a landscape designer and gardener, and I have a little business called Let Us Help, which plants veggie gardens. So the reason why I'm a little nervous, the reason why I'm running is because I've been asked to run before, and I just didn't really have the time to do it. And since I've seen so many things happen in our neighborhood in the last few years, I realized that I really needed to take a more active role in my community. So I am also an intermediate Spanish speaker, and some things that I plan on doing in the future here in our region. I plan to start a neighborhood watch, which I've already started working on with a fellow neighbor. I have been volunteering with the Echo Park Trash Club, where we've been cleaning up Silver Lake and Echo Park, and we continue to work with that group. And I'm very interested in urban design and helping our neighbors that are marginalized understand what's happening with development in Silver Lake and why that's important to us all. It's important for the safety, like Kristen said, bike safety, walkability, equity for all. And I think that is very important that we meet with these developers and meet with people that are bringing these new spaces to our neighborhood and have dialogue with them. So that's something that I really look forward to doing. Getting down to the dirty work, representing our neighbors, going door to door, finding out who my neighbors are, which I've done before when I fought a gentrification project that was happening on the corner of my street. We won at City Hall. We spoke out for the neighbors. We got 200 signatures. I met a lot of people, and I felt that that moment really inspired me to run. Thank you so much, and please vote for me.
Thank you, Nicole. And next up in Region 2, we have Ben Casorla.
Hey guys, I can see the timer. Thanks for having me. Ben Casorla, my pronouns are he and him. I'm a musician professionally, and I'm a dad. I have a 6-year-old who goes to Mickle Terrena. Before I talked about myself, I also wanted to say I got to know a lot of the candidates during this process, and like this is a pretty incredible group of people. So win or lose, I think we're all going to be very well served. And I also will second what Imran said, which is that I hope everybody will get involved in committees, even if they don't win. I'm the co-chair currently of the Housing and Tenants Rights Committee, and am currently the Region 2 representative running for re-election. I got involved in neighborhood councils, advocating in front of like, I don't know, 20 or 30 different neighborhood councils for affordable housing, which has been something that I've focused on a lot. What I would like to continue doing is just the work that I've sort of started, which is that myself and a few other council members started a program where we raised about $15,000 through the city and $15,000 privately, so that every almost every low-income family at public schools in Silver Lake got, after the pandemic started, got grocery store gift cards. And we actually ended up expanding that to about 5 or 6 other elementary schools, all on the east side. So sort of continuing to support the populations that don't have as many resources and that need it. And also I'm not seconding, more like tenthing, just that I feel like outreach is something we all need to do a better job of. I helped put together a tenants' rights town hall, and we tried to outreach with the Latinx community, which is, you know, I don't know, 40% of our neighborhood, and didn't do a good job. So we have to do better at that. Anyway, vote for me, vote for everybody here. Everybody's going to be well served. Thanks.
Thank you, Ben. And next up, we have Kareem Williams.
Also, Charlie, just a heads up, I do see Sydney Whitehead in it, and I just made them a panelist. So maybe after.
After this, we'll come back to him.
Yep.
So Kareem, are you here?
I don't think Kareem is here.
Okay, well, let's take this opportunity then to go back to Sydney Whitehead. And Sydney, let me know if you can see the timer on the screen, please, when you first start. Sydney?
Sydney? I see their name, but camera's not on and neither is their microphone. All right, well, I think they missed their opportunity then. Let's move on.
Unless they're on mute, but let's go on to Region 5 representatives, candidates, and the first one will be Chris Bourne.
Thank you. And I can see the timer.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chris Bourne. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm running to represent Region 5. This is my first time being a candidate for anything, so I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and talk to you all. Listening to the statements that have come before, I'm reminded that the best thing about this experience so far for me has been getting to know so many of the people who are running. And it's a really talented and inspiring group of people, and I'd be thrilled to serve with any of them if I'm lucky enough to be elected. I've lived in Region 5 for 10 years. I love it here, and I want Silver Lake to be a progressive example for Los Angeles. The way I see myself going about that is by bringing my experience as a teacher into the neighborhood council. I began my career as a teacher, and I recognized in that experience that students need foundational things like housing, stable housing, food, and a safe way to get to school. And you know, the pandemic, our housing crisis, and over policing are all obstacles to student success that disproportionately impact renters and people of color in our community. And so I want to start a youth and education committee and outreach to our school communities throughout Silver Lake to bring more voices into the neighborhood council, because I believe that students, parents, and teachers have important knowledge on how to make Silver Lake a more equitable, inclusive, and healthy place for all of us. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris. And next up, we have Ryan Moore. You could unmute yourself, Ryan, and let me know if you can see the timer.
I can see the timer, thank you. So my name is Ryan Moore. I'm running for a Region 5 representative. I'm a filmmaker and an activist, and I've lived in Silver Lake since 2007. Some of the issues I'm interested in are why, if we go to the Silver Lake Reservoir, why are there no bathrooms or public facilities there? Why, if I want to lay down on a bench there, I can't because there are bars on it. And I'm interested in why do we live in an area with, I think, over 80% people renting, and yet we have a city councilman representing us who gets big money from real estate developers and works in their interest. So I wanted to see what we can do about those things and how we can change. And I ran for Region 5 last time. I got, I think, 61 votes. So thank you, 61 people. I did not win, but I'd like to think, you know, I was just a little bit early because as far as I know, I was the only one identifying as a Democratic Socialist at that time. And now I think there's 13 candidates who are. So I want to, you know, see what can we do and where can we be in another 2 years, because it might be something really amazing. So I, you know, in the past I've mentioned at that last forum, I mentioned gang injunctions. There's something where the council actually called the police on people who came to protest. And we're changing. Shout out to Albert, because we have a police reform committee, which is great, but I'd like to see even more change. I'd like to see the neighborhood council not be a voice against the people shouting people down saying we don't care, but to turn that megaphone around and to shout at our city government on behalf of the people, because our city government needs big change. There's 5 people a day dying on the streets of LA, and I'm not okay with that. And I want to do whatever we can to change that. So thank you, and I'd appreciate your vote. And Ryan.team is the website if you want to learn more. And time's up. Thanks.
Thank you, Ryan. Next up in Region 5, we had Xanthe Ships. Xanthe?
Yes, and I can see the timer. My name is Xanthe Sheps. I was born and raised in LA. I grew up in Van Nuys. But my childhood best friend grew up in the apartment complex that I live in now. So I have felt at home and I've loved this neighborhood since I was 10 years old. I have previously worked in the music industry and I am currently working as a nanny. And I have had firsthand experience of what a challenge this past year has been. And I have experienced this as someone with an immense amount of privilege. And I think that that has really made me want to use the agency that I have to reach out to and uplift the voices of people who are struggling with the same things as me with a whole lot less of a platform to do it from. I want to echo what a lot of people have said, which is that I have found an amazing sense of community just through running for neighborhood council. And no matter what happens, I will be incredibly grateful for that. But I also feel like it's really easy to feel powerless when there are so many issues facing our city. Our unhoused neighbors are struggling and dying on our streets, 5 unhoused residents a day. We have an immense amount of people who are on the precipice of eviction. And it's really easy with a city council of only 15 members who limit public comment immensely to feel like there's no space to make change. And I have already, just through attending committees and getting to know this neighborhood council, felt like there's work to be done and it's all tangible. So I want to reach out to other community members, especially those who have been underrepresented historically, and try to give everyone that same agency through SLNC. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Xanthe. And next we're going to move on to the uncontested seats, Region 3, Seth Copenhaver.
Yep, Seth could not make today, so.
Okay. Well, then next we're going to have Anthony Crump.
Good afternoon. Ready? I can't see the timer, but I'll keep my comments very brief. Good afternoon. My name is Anthony Crump. I am the current Region 3 representative on the Silver Lake Neighborhood Council. I'm also a co-chair along with Nick Fox Robbins. I have previously served on the Neighborhood Council for a total of, I think, 6 or 8 years under a variety of different board members. I've also previously served as a co-chair during a more contentious time during the Neighborhood Council as well. Over that time, I've learned a great deal about community, about our community, about how the Neighborhood Council can advocate and educate in our community. And that's something that I'm looking forward to continuing in the next term. Right now, I think we're going through a really difficult time, especially for the Neighborhood Council, because we're transitioning from a virtual environment, hopefully soon back to an in-person environment where a lot more is possible. For the current board, about half of the term has been spent in this virtual environment, one of those 2 years, which makes a big difference when you're trying to engage all of those in our community. Personally and professionally, I'm a public affairs professional specializing in community relations, have done so for the last 20 some odd years. I've been a resident of Silver Lake since 2008. I've previously served as the president of the board of directors of Hilltop Preschool, which is located, for many of you that don't know, in Bellevue Park, which has been a great community asset for more than 30 years here in Silver Lake. So that's me in a nutshell. I hope that I'll be elected again and look forward to continuing service.
Thanks, Anthony. And now we're moving on to Region 4 candidates, starting with Courtney Cascarell.
I can't see the timer, so if you could please help me.
I'll take care of it. Thank you, Courtney.
Thank you. My name is Courtney. I'm running for Region 4. I've been a stakeholder in this community for the past 6 years. Before COVID, I was the co-chair for local business. I've been spending a majority of my time the past 6 years on the 3100 block of Silver Lake. And I have seen this community grow, and I've seen where the community can also greatly improve. I've dedicated my time to community building, local job promoting, and safeguarding local Angelino business also for the past 6 years. If elected, what I want to accomplish personally, along with keeping Silver Lake safe and reimagining policing, Region 4 is the home to one of the most important facilities in the Los Angeles area, and that's the Hollywood Sunset Clinic. And that provides free medical care and counseling to low income and underinsured individuals. And I believe healthcare should be free, if not very, very, very affordable and the very, very minimal. And I will be donating my time on this board and resources to build a sustainable fundraising model to provide them with financial assistance that will be an ongoing revenue stream long after I'm elected.
30 seconds.
And I'll be doing the same services to generate income to their thrift store and awareness of the thrift store that also pays for their financial overhead. That's all.
Thanks very much, Courtney. And next for Region 4, we have up Andy Taliasachi. Andy?
Hi, I can see the timer.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Andy, and my pronouns are they, them, theirs, and I am trans non-binary. As a trans person, and especially a trans non-binary person, who by definition doesn't fit into the system, you very quickly learn that this world, this society, these systems were not made for you, and fundamentally do not include you or recognize your existence. And despite what you might think, changing the system is not my job and it's not my responsibility, but unfortunately our elected leaders are not doing it. And so it falls to my community to demand our basic human rights. These systems of oppression and invisibility for underrepresented voices are intertwined, and all of our freedoms are wrapped up together. Our indigenous neighbors whose land we occupy, our unhoused neighbors, our undocumented neighbors, our BIPOC and AAPI neighbors, our gender expansive and trans neighbors are all failed by the same system. So I'm running for neighborhood council. I'll work to change the local political system to uplift my trans and gender expansive community, not because we're different, but because we've always existed. I believe in defunding and abolishing the police and reallocating those resources to create accountable safety services that Silver Lake can depend on, and which seek only to serve the community. I do not have all the answers because I have my own privileges as a white, queer, able-bodied, neurotypical, trans non-binary person, but I'm running primarily to listen, to learn, and to advocate. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Andy. And now we're moving on to Region 6, Eric Brightwell. You hear Eric?
All right, I can see the timer. Hi, my name is Eric Brightwell. I am a writer, map maker, and renter who has lived in Silver Lake since 1999, which incidentally is the year that the neighborhood council system was inaugurated, I believe. I just want to echo and agree with pretty much almost everything that I've heard today. So I'll try to keep it short and just say that my main areas of focus are mobility, environment, housing, culture, and reforming the neighborhood council system itself to make it more inclusive and more democratic. Right now we have 32,000 people in Silver Lake and only about 0.1% of the population, I believe, even votes in the neighborhood council elections. So that seems, if we want it to be more democratic, we have to get more people involved and raise awareness of the neighborhood council system. I don't think a lot of people even know about it. The environment, I think, is the biggest challenge facing us as a species today, and many other species, frankly. And I think there are things that you can do in a city, like demand more from developers, because construction is one of the biggest contributors to global warming. We can improve mobility to get people out of cars. Most Angelinos want to get out of cars, but feel like it's unsafe to ride a bike, and with good reason. I've been hit twice on my bike in Silver Lake. people feel like there's not a, if I want to drop off my ballot at the ballot box, I have to cross the street 5 times, even though it's on the same street that I live on, because there's not a sidewalk for 190 meters of it. And we need to have more affordable housing and seize the motels, and you only end homelessness by providing homes. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. And next up, we have David Schaefer. David?
Yeah, hi. Thanks, everybody. Thanks very much, everybody who is seeking to represent their districts or at large. I want to thank the Neighborhood Council for organizing this forum. So I've lived in Silver Lake for over a dozen years. I'm a native Los Angelino, lived almost my whole life here. I am currently the chair of the history department at California State University, Long Beach. This is the first time I've run for Neighborhood Council, even though I've been tempted in the past. But now I think things are, it's pretty critical. We're entering that post-COVID world that at least a couple of you have talked about. And this provides some, or presents, I should say, some really interesting challenges. There are a myriad of problems that impact Silver Lake right now, and many of you have highlighted those. And the thing is that I don't believe the Neighborhood Council can solve most of those problems. I think it's beyond our purview, beyond our jurisdiction, beyond what we're allowed to do. But we can be advocates, and that's the main thing, is to represent not just our district, but the region as a whole, all of Silver Lake, and that's what I intend to do. Most of all, it sounds like the thing that binds all of us together is a quality of life. Quality of life, essentially looking after the needs of people who are insecure, whether that insecurity is food insecurity, whether it's housing insecurity, whether it's the insecurity that comes by virtue of one's identity and feeling threatened in that way. And I think that these are ways that we can advocate. We can be liaisons between our constituents and the city council. Anyway, these are basically the reasons why I'm running. Again, another issue for me, just to close this out, is culture. It's culture that can bind us together, cultural events that we used to have in Silver Lake that don't seem to be the case anymore. So if we can again regenerate that, I think we'll be a better community. Thanks very much. Bye.
Thanks, David. And next, we're going to move on to Region 7. Is Ethan McQuarrie on board? Okay, not hearing from him. I see that we still have Sydney Whitehead on, but you're muted, Sydney. If you're calling in on a smartphone, could you hit *6 to unmute yourself? Okay, not getting anything back. Okay, the next phase is we're going to be moving into the questions and answers. And in this phase, we're going to go through all of the at-large candidates and ask them one at a time, each one of the 3 questions. And then we'll move on to the contested seats and then to the uncontested seats and ask each of those groups all 3 questions. So for the at-large representatives, the first question is, we recognize that you have family members, full-time jobs, and outside passions. How can you assure your stakeholders that you're willing to commit the time to be an impactful, meaningful, and dedicated representative? And you have 1 minute to answer. Albert Andrade.
I can see the timer. Yeah, so I by trade, I'm a post-production supervisor, work 10 to 12-hour days, right? I wouldn't be offering my candidacy in this role if I wasn't already dedicating the time and committing to dedicating this time for the next 2 years. I was the co-chair of the election committee before I had to step down because I stepped up to become a candidate to represent all the stakeholders. I've written multiple CISs, which are community impact statements. One that was telling city council to relax parking because so many of my neighbors are just stuck in the middle of the street and getting ticketed. I'm also the co-chair of the ad hoc committee on police reform. I say and share all my resume of committees because I'm already doing the work. I'm already dedicating my time to the community. I'm already serving through organizations like SLNC Street Watch, and I'm already participating co-chairs. And I hope if I'm elected, I can continue that for the next 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Albert. And if anybody needs a question repeated, I'll do so. Otherwise, I'm just going to run through the list. Next up is Miranda Cristofani. Miranda?
Thank you. I can't see the timer, but I will try and keep it
I'll
quick.
let you know.
Thank you. So I am already commitment. I'm not a stranger to commitment. I am already participating in the police reform and the homelessness, houselessness committee. I already know what it means to be committed outside of my work. I'm very committed in my work, but I'm also in relation to my union activities. I know what it means to say, I'm dedicated to this, I'm going to get it done, I'm going to be there. So I'm no stranger to that. And having a meaningful impact on the community, I think I'm just going to keep on echoing outreach. I think I can make a difference in that area with my commitment. I do know how to reach out to a vast amount of people and get them involved and get them active. And I think I can bring those skills, that commitment to this and be valuable for the next 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Miranda. And next we have maybe a girl, maybe.
Thank you, Charlie. Thanks, everybody. Being on the neighborhood council is a huge commitment, and part of why it's such a huge commitment is because this is a volunteer position and you spend a lot of time on neighborhood council. Granted, we have one monthly meeting, which is 3 hours, but there are dozens and dozens of hours spent throughout the rest of the month, whether that be in committee, which is where a lot of the work gets done on neighborhood council, or just answering emails and speaking with constituents. I have personally donated hundreds of hours in volunteer work in the past couple of years, and it has been my absolute pleasure. I really look forward to doing it again. And that's in spite of me working a full-time job. You know, I'm a renter in Silver Lake. I work in the service industry. I'm a server. I also work as a drag queen, you know, when people actually could perform. So hopefully that will come again soon. But, you know, you really have to be dedicated to this. You have to be passionate about it to be able to carve out that space. And for me, it has...
Time's up.
Thank you.
And we're going to move on to Seth Gottesdiener.
Thank you so much. And I can see the timer. That's a very good question, especially to a business owner, because being a business owner is a full-time commitment. However, in order to be a good owner or business owner, you need to be able to delegate. And that is one thing that I've definitely learned in the past year, is how to prioritize tasks, how to delegate tasks. I'm lucky enough to work with an amazing staff of people that this would not be something that would be overlooked. Neighborhood council would be just as much of a passion to me as my other job. And also I think because aspects of you know, owning a business do include time management, setting deadlines, setting Siri calendar reminders, things like that, I think that would all help me to allocating my time properly to the neighborhood council. I also enjoy being very active in general and just having a lot of things on my plate. That gives me a sense of purpose. So this would be no problem.
Thank you, Seth. And next we have up Arden Greer.
I can see the timer. I do think this is a great question, an interesting question, and I thank you for asking it. I'm a director, so I work as a freelancer, and so I make my own schedule and am no stranger to, you know, there not being enough hours in the week to get something done, but it always gets done based on priority. And I've personally been looking for something to put all of my energy into. So I really look for, and the neighborhood council, as soon as I learned about it this year, really felt like that was it. It was structured. It was involved in local government. It was a local government position. And I also really appreciate the existence of committees and the ability to be involved in the committees, whether you are on the board or not. I'm also just a passionate person. So when I'm passionate about something, I don't half-ass it. So I will be here, and that's why I'm excited to be here. And thank you.
Thank you, Arden. And next we have up Carolyn Ji-Young Park. Carolyn.
Thank you. So I I've been an activist since I was in high school. I was actually inspired by Art Goldberg and his daughter. I don't know if you know them, but they're fixtures in the local activist scene. And I became even more activated last year in, around March, May and June. And so I have made it a priority to be even more active. I'm activated in a way that I never have been, and I've pretty much been a full-time activist since August. And so I just want to step up for my community and prioritize it, as I have been. And I think anything that we do is a matter of priority, and things can get done when we prioritize.
Thank you very much, Carolyn. Next, we have up Dulce Stein.
Hey, just heads up, I'm having a little technical difficulties with the timer. I'm working on it, but I will, in the meantime, time with my phone.
Yeah, I started my timer on the iPhone too.
Okay, so to answer your question, I am a mother of 5 children, all of them adults now, and I have given them the tools to be successful. I'm free, and for the last 6 years, I've been committing to Silver Lake 3-4 times a week. Sometimes I have to take the bus. Sometimes it takes me 3 hours from where I live because I am a stakeholder in your city, in our city. 3 times there and 3 hours there and 3 hours back. I dedicate most of my waking hours and just thinking about what am I going to do today? And every day I have something good to offer, and more dedicated I cannot be, because like I said before, this is the only way I know how to be. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Dulce. And next we have up Imran Said.
Charlie, can I think I fixed the timer. Can people see the timer moving now?
I can, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Imran?
I still can't see the timer. Can you tell me how much time I have so I can start my personal timer?
I'll time you, and you got a minute right now.
Okay, so first I want to say everybody here that's a current board member or part of a committee has worked really hard. I've seen it. I've seen everybody here. They put in a lot of time and effort, and I'm sure that they're going to continue to do so. Before COVID, I tried to go to as many personal meetings as I could. I went to LGBTQ meetings in person. I went to the Latinx meeting in person. I went to the History Collective meeting in person, Transportation and Safety in person. And then we had to go through Zoom. Our meetings go to 10, but they always go past 10. And every single time we've had to vote to extend them, I've never not voted against stopping them. I always vote to continue. It's a lot of time, it's a lot of effort, but I'm confident that everybody here is committed to it. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Imran. And now we're going to go back in the same group of at-large representatives and ask question number 2, which is, what unique experiences or perspectives do you think you will bring as a governing board member? If you have experience with leadership or governing boards, please include that. And starting this off will be Albert Andrade. Albert?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. We recognize, what unique experiences or perspectives do you think you will bring as a governing board member? If you have experience with leadership or governing boards, please include that. And I'll time you.
Okay, I can see the timer. So my first Silver Lake Neighborhood Council meeting was in August of 2020, and they were electing an assistant secretary. And I didn't know any better. I self-nominated myself. And, the governing board was sort of in question, like, can a stakeholder hold this position? But truthfully, to me, it didn't really matter if I was on the board or if I was a stakeholder. I was willing to do the work. And for the past nearly a year, I've been serving as assistant secretary. Like I mentioned, I was the co-chair of this election committee that was sort of setting up the steps to make sure there was a fair and equitable election held. I am the current co-chair of the Silver Lake Neighborhood Council Police Reform Committee, and I hope to get more involved in other committees, but also engage with our stakeholders so we can empower our stakeholders to take up leadership positions. I think the great sign of a leader is someone who is able to inspire and involve the community. And that's something that is a sign of success for me.
Thanks, Albert. I guess you could hear my phone going off there. All I have to figure out is a way to operate the iPhone, and maybe I can contribute something. Okay, next up is going to be Miranda Cristofani. Do you recall the question, Miranda?
I do, thank you. I can't see the timer, but I'll just keep
time
going.
you.
I've got my own too. Thank you.
Go ahead.
So I do sit on the board of directors at my union. I'm a member of Local 800 IATSE. I'm also on the AD Council, and I also co-chair the Women's Committee and the Diversity Education Committees. I am pretty familiar with how to outreach to our members. I've introduced new and innovative ways to engage membership, and all of those things I hope to bring as strategies to the Neighborhood Council. I'm also a very old member of Ground Game LA, and I've written articles for NARC LA as well. I haven't been so active because I am highly autoimmune, so I haven't been out on the streets, but I kind of been doing things from Ground Central Control, which is my computer, and helping just advocate and support the people that are out there doing the work. So I hope to continue to do that.
Thank you.
I would, okay.
Okay.
I'm at
Next
time,
we're gonna-
thank you.
Thanks. We're going to go to maybe a girl. Can you see the timer maybe?
One second. I cannot see it.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and time you. So go ahead and get started.
Okay, thank you. So in terms of unique perspective, I think that I bring a very unique perspective to the Neighborhood Council. When I was elected in 2019, I found out after I was elected that I was the first drag queen to ever be elected to any sort of public office in the United States of America, which was a shock to me. But not only am I a drag queen, I'm a trans person, and you don't see trans people in office very often anywhere. And I think it's so incredibly important to have trans people representing other trans people, representing the queer community. And on top of that being important, I'm also already in leadership positions within the Neighborhood Council. I serve as the current treasurer, which has been, for me, surprisingly, such a joy. I've actually really enjoyed that. I also currently co-chair the Budget and Finance Committee, as well as the Ad Hoc Committee on Homelessness and Housing. And I would love to continue to be in a leadership position on the Neighborhood Council.
Thank you, maybe. And next up, we're going to have Seth Gottesdiener.
Thank you. I can see the timer. I hate to keep bringing it back to this because I feel like a broken record, but when you build a brick and mortar from the ground up, there is an innumerable amount of skills that you learn in the process. And I think I can definitely transfer in a lot of them to serving on a neighborhood council board. I also love speaking to people in the community. I like listening to issues at hand. Last year, a fun fact about me is that I actually biked across America and interviewed about 40 people as to why they felt America is so divided. And I learned countless information. I think if I can do that, I can bike around a 2.75 square mile radius, our area in Los Angeles, and speak to the community as to what they feel is dividing them and what they feel is not serving them. So, yeah.
Okay, thanks very much, Seth. And next we're going to move on to Arden Greer. Arden?
Hi, I can see the timer. Yes, I can see the timer. So I have been in leadership positions my whole life. I'm very comfortable in them. And I am a director, as I mentioned. So I'm a filmmaker, and I am also a producer. So I'm very used to being in the position of leading a team, delegating, managing time, managing conflict, dealing with conflict resolution. I've gotten very good at managing many egos at once and somehow managing to get everyone happy on the other side. I'm a great problem solver, and that's what I do. Yeah, as a director, that's what I do every day. So I think I also love collaborating, and that's what I'm excited about doing in a board environment with the board, a group like this, because I feel like we can all learn from each other, and that's just how I already work, and I'm excited to continue bringing that to Silver Lake Neighborhood Council.
Thank you, Arden. And next up, we'll have Carolyn Jeong Park. Carolyn, can you see the timer?
I can't see the timer, but also can you repeat the question because I didn't get the last portion of it.
The question? Sure. What unique experiences and/or perspectives do you think you will bring as a governing board member? If you have experience with leadership or governing boards, please include that. And I'll go ahead and time you and let you know in 10 seconds. So you can go ahead and start.
I'm ready. Thank you. So I, first off, am an Asian, well, I'm a Korean American woman. Silver Lake has a large portion, a sizable portion of Silver Lake is made up of Asian Americans. I think it's important. I think representation is important. As an attorney and an activist, I think that I can understand complex issues and language, and then interpret it or explain it to folks in a way that regular folks can understand, and even in some languages. I actually created and ran the jail support program when the mass arrests were happening.
Thank you, Carolyn. We're out of time now. Thanks. We're going to move on to Dulcie Stein, and let me know if you can see the timer, Dulcie.
I can see the blue sky timer, but it's not right.
Oh, there we go.
Yes. Okay. So, unique experience. I think that from the perspective of being a handicapped individual and having to face all kinds of trauma and problem solving, as well as working as a mediator for the high school system for suicidal children, as well as running my own food program here in the city of Hawthorne, and being the oldest child of a single mother, I think that it gives me a very unique perspective as how to survive, and not only survive but share. It's important that not only be a leader but also have compassion and understand and be of service instead of trying to dictate what should or should not happen. So as leaders, we absolutely have to be in service, to be of service for others. And I think that that's maybe not a unique perspective, but a good perspective. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dulcie. And next we have up Imran Saeed. Imran.
I was a board member of the Muslim Bar Association, and we had an annual Ramadan dinner, and we were able to rent out the beautiful downtown LA City Hall, and we had Mike Fuhrer come speak. I'm a criminal defense attorney. I go up against his office all the time. At the time, I was like, oh, this is cool. But then I had people that I really respected reach out to me and say, why are you having him speak? He prosecuted people at BLM. And I suddenly found myself in a leadership position where I was confused and unsure of myself. And it was tough. So these things happen at the local level too. These things have happened being a current board member during a lot of things that were going on with police reform. I got messages from stakeholders that were the opposite and different. And they were saying, you're my region rep. Where do you stand on this? So that experience has made me realize I have to make the decision that fits my values as well as my communities, and have to be unbiased. So I try my best to do that. So that's my unique experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Imran. And now we're going to go to the third question for the at-large candidates. And that question is, please name 2 committees that you will serve on and will consistently participate in, and a third that you want to learn more about. And the first one up will be Albert Andrade. Albert?
Do I have a timer for this?
Yes.
Okay, I see it. Sorry, just real quick, hearing the question, providing an answer. I think, just to touch upon, where I'm coming from. I'm the child of immigrants. I'm a second generation immigrant. I'm the victim of gun violence. I survived the Santa Monica College school shooting. And both of those things are really personal to me, especially as they relate to immigration justice, language justice, and housing justice. And so 2 committees that I'm very passionate about and I would like to sort of reinvigorate are the Latinx Representation Committee and our Public Safety and Transportation Committee. Just want to make sure I have a voice at that table to make sure that Latinx representation in a city or a neighborhood of 33,000, where about 50%, about 40 to 50% of our community is Spanish speaking. And one I want to learn more about, and I'm now will be a full voting member, is the Urban Design and Preservation Committee, which is land use. A lot of land use issues are being dealt with at Silver Lake, and I want to be
Thank
there
you,
as
Albert.
well.
Your time's up, and we're going to move on to Miranda Cristofani. Miranda?
Yeah, thank you. So I will continue to be active in the Police Reform Committee. I believe that's a very important committee. I don't think I need to share with this group particularly why that's important. I think we're all on the same page, hopefully, that we need to, I am an abolitionist, but let's start with reform. So I think that some really detailed and important conversations need to be had at that committee. Another committee I'm very interested in is the Houseless Committee, the Homeless Committee, in that we need to continue to work as hard as we can until our community, our houseless members have a roof over their heads and their own roof over their own heads. And I think that goes hand in hand with sometimes the Urban Design Committee, but I can actually really appreciate the work Ben has done for the idea of social housing and bringing that into play. I think we need to be opening and broadening our mind to those opportunities.
Thank you very much, Miranda. Time's up, and we're going to move
Time's
on.
up. Thank you.
Maybe a girl. Maybe.
Thank you. As I mentioned earlier, committee work is so important when you are a part of the neighborhood council, because that is where so much of the actual work takes place. And I'm very actively involved in committee work as it is. I am an active member of the Homelessness and Silver Lake Committee, the Housing and Tenants' Rights Committee, as well as the Ad Hoc Committee on Police Reform. And I also co-chair the LGBTQIA Advocates Committee. I co-chair the Budget and Finance Committee, and I co-chair the Ad Hoc Committee on Housing and Homelessness. So if I had to pick a 7th committee to be involved with, I would select the UDP committee, our land use committee, which is so important, not just in this neighborhood, but in so many other neighborhoods as it pertains to overall city work. So that's a committee that I want to become more involved with in my next term. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Maybe, and next up is Seth Gottesdiener. Seth?
Thank you. 2 committees that I feel very passionate about would be the LGBTQIA committee for personal reasons, and then also the Houselessness Committee. I think that's just something that affects all of Los Angeles at this point, and it's not just unique to Silver Lake. A 3rd committee that I'd be interested in getting involved with would be local business, also for obvious reasons. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Seth. And next up, we have Arden Greer. Arden?
Hi, thank you. I can see the timer. Awesome. So I would be interested in joining the Budget and Finance Committee. As a producer, I'm very comfortable working with budgeting software and overseeing like where and how we decide to spend money and where and how to spread it around in an equitable way. And then a second committee that I'd be really excited to be more involved or to be on would be the police reform, the Ad Hoc Police Reform Committee, which I don't think should be ad hoc. And I also think inherently calling it police reform is a first step en route to reimagining public safety and defunding the police. And then lastly, I would be excited to learn a lot more about urban design and preservation because of, as someone who moved to Silver Lake and is very excited about it, I also recognize my place and my contribution to gentrification and wanting to learn more how to stop.
Thank you. Thank you, Arden. Next, we're going to have up Carolyn Jeong Park. Carolyn.
No, I would like to work on the housing committee. It's an existential matter for a lot of us who are here on this call as renters. And we can't rely on market solutions, just on market solutions. There just aren't enough units, affordable units that are being built that way. So yes, I would advocate for social housing. I am also very passionate about transportation as a cyclist who is currently car free. And I would also like to serve on the police reform committee. And I would like Silver Lake to have a compost program, which I can't believe Silver Lake does not have.
Thank you very much, Carolyn. Next up, we have Dulcie Stein. Dulcie.
Yeah, hi. I can see the timer. So I founded the Latinx committee to reach out to the Latinx community as a whole. I also work with arts and culture. I'm very passionate about art as a form of sharing our world with others, right? I brought, for the first time in 100 years, we came together, different committees, and we offered the Day of the Day, El Día de los Muertos. Unfortunately, my two committees are very people involved. So with COVID, everything, we had to stop everything. But one thing that I would like to start is a community kitchen where we can feed families every day after school, and bring them at least one or two meals a day for entire families now that we're struggling. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dulcie. And next we have Imran Saeed. Imran.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Certainly. What unique experiences and or perspectives do you think you will bring as a governing board member? If you have experience with leadership or governing boards, please include that.
I mean, I would love to take up time, but I think I already answered this question. I think I've already been brought to.
Okay, thanks very much, Imran.
I think we're on the committee question, aren't we? It's a committee question.
Actually, it was about unique experiences and perspectives you'll bring as a governing board member. The committee question was the first. I'm sorry, you're right. I slipped a gear there. I'm sorry, Imran. Let's take another crack at this. The question was actually name two committees that you'll serve on and will consistently participate in, and a third that you'll want to learn more about. Thank you for catching it, Miranda.
Oh, so I'm currently the co-chair of the Homelessness and Silver Lake Committee. It's very important to me. I plan on continuing to be the co-chair of that. I'm also very much interested in the Police Reform Committee. I actually nominated someone to be a local member of the community to be one of the co-chairs. They were one of the co-chairs because I thought they had certain skill sets that would fit it. They stepped down, and my understanding is it's now Albert is one of the co-chairs, and I think you couldn't ask for someone better than that. So that's another committee. I really liked the historic committee because I like all the shops and local businesses in Silver Lake. So I'd love to, and the people that run it are just really sweet people. They've been in Silver Lake for a really long time. So I would love to get involved with that some more as well. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Imran. Now we're going to move on from the at-large representatives to the contested regions. And first up will be Region 1. And I think we only have Kristen Eggermeyer here with us. So the first question, Christian, would be, we recognize you have family members, full-time jobs, and outside passions. How can you assure your stakeholders that you're willing to commit the time to be an impactful, meaningful, and dedicated representative?
Thanks so much. I am no stranger to having many plates in the air, and I live off of my day planner and in my phone. I thrive off of down to the minute planning, and I've done it pretty much my whole life. So, and as a freelance worker in many different fields, it fits right into that scheduling. So it would be really no different, except I'm aimed at the community. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Kristen. Now we're going to move on to Region 2, and the first candidate will be Nicole Antoine. Same question.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. We recognize that you have family members, full-time jobs, and outside passions. How can you assure your stakeholders that you're willing to commit the time to be an impactful, meaningful, and dedicated representative?
Great. So just like everybody, I do have pretty organizational home office now that we're in COVID time still. And I think just one of the things that I want to emphasize is going around and actually meeting our neighbors face to face in person on the streets or door knocking when we can, and ensuring them that that is how I will use my time to ensure them that I am the representative for them. I've met them before going door to door, and I think spending 5 to 10 minutes talking with a neighbor that you've never met about their concerns, interests, and desires for the neighborhood is the most important way to ensure a stakeholder that you are giving your time to them. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Nicole. And next up for the same question is Ben Casorla. Ben?
Hi, yeah, thanks. I would say that, I'm already I'm already a co-chair of the Housing and Tenants Rights Committee and on the governing board. So I will continue to put all the time in that I'm currently putting all the time in, and have authored many, many motions in front of the governing board that I will continue to do so. And I will also say that my daughter, unlike most, likes to sleep a lot, which means that I have time during the night where I can't be in my studio working, where I can take care of all this business. That's what I'm already doing. So we'll continue to do the same. And also, I will say that Nicole and I have talked a little bit about walking the neighborhood, and I just think that's a fantastic idea. I know that's not on topic, but it's a great idea.
Okay, thanks, Ben. And next up from the Region 5 candidates, same question. We have Chris Bourne. Chris?
Hi. I'm a new father. I have a 9.5-month-old girl at home, and I joke sometimes it's unclear whether it was the pandemic or the baby that's completely changed my lifestyle, but it's definitely reordered my priorities. And while having a kid's a huge commitment, it also is a reason that I am focused not just on enjoying my neighborhood, but really committed to improving it. So thank you.
Thanks, Chris. And next up with the same question is Ryan Moore. Ryan?
Yes, thanks. I don't think the timer reset. Oh, there it goes. So I work a day job as a software engineer, and that's something that I feel really lucky because I'm able to work remotely. I'm able to pay my rent and have food on the table, but that's not enough. One of the reasons I ran, actually the main reason I ran, is to challenge myself because I see so many activists doing so much great work, and I wanted to put myself out there, and that I want that to be my priority in life. And like I said, I'm lucky enough to have the privilege of this job. I have privilege as a white male, and I feel like when I see other activists who are standing up to the police that are armed like an army, I feel like this is the bare minimum I can do, is to put myself out there for the community and make this my priority. Thanks.
Thank you, Ryan. And next up, we have the Xanthi Ships. Xanthi?
Thank you. I can guarantee that I can commit the time to this because, like a lot of our neighbors, I am now severely underemployed. So being on this governing board for me is a matter of survival and making sure that myself and my neighbors can stay in our houses. Showing up to a governing board meeting is not something to check off a list or to make me feel better. It's to make sure that, you know, we have a neighbor in Silver Lake who was deported by ICE in our neighborhood. I want to say the name of Melly Corrado, who was murdered in our neighborhood in 2018. For me, this is not showing up to do a job. This is protecting my neighbors. So that is how I can guarantee that I will commit every waking moment I have to serving this governing board.
Thank you, Xantha. And the next question for the contested regions will be, what unique experiences and or perspectives do you think you will bring as a governing board member? If you have experience with leadership or governing boards, please include that. And first up will be Kristen Eggermeyer from Region 1. Kristen?
Thanks. I see the time. I have a odd background in many different types of business, between working from environmental groups, contracting with the government, and all the freelance work I do. So it's a really unique background that I bring, but also bring the artistic side of it through my writing and acting. I also serve as the board secretary of Interact Theater Company here in Los Angeles. It's been around for 30 years, and I'm really, really proud of the work that we've done over the pandemic. And so it easily fits into continuing to work with boards and government.
Okay, thank you very much, Kristen. And then next up from Region 2, candidate Nicole Antoine. Nicole?
Hi, so although I haven't had any leadership positions at work, well, I did have one that was a Northern California lead for a marketing team for a baby food company, organic baby food company, many years ago, but now I'm a landscape designer and I do lead a team of crew in our day-to-day operations. The other way that I feel like leading in my region would be really important and effective would be, like I've mentioned plenty of times, that we go and talk to the neighbors and show them how to work with their leader of the region. So I feel like it's actually like kind of a reverse leadership role, where if you go out and you show them that you're there to serve them, that you in turn will gain leadership and potentially gain leaders with you that can employ, you know, other things that we're trying to change in the neighborhood.
Thank you, Nicole. And next up from Region 2, we have Ben Casorla. Ben?
Hi, thanks. Yeah, as far as leadership positions, I've mentioned I'm the co-chair of the Housing and Tenants' Rights Committee. And I sort of got into all of this through a group called LA Forward, which is an advocacy organization in LA. And I was the leader of the housing group there. We were working on a project that actually was what brought me in front of neighborhood councils called community sourced housing, which was trying to activate neighbors to take part in building affordable housing in their communities. Yeah, so that's been my focus, and that will continue to be my focus.
Okay, thank you very much, Ben. And now from Region 5, we have candidate Chris Bourne. Chris?
Yep, thank you. So I think there are two experiences.
Hold on a second, we need the clock reset. No, go ahead.
Okay, I can see the clock. I think there are two experiences I want to highlight. First is, as a former teacher and someone with a network of educators who, including people who live in Silver Lake and teach at King Middle, I'm already connected to the school communities in Silver Lake and want to bring those connections into the council. And I've made a career as a leader in businesses and been a general manager for a startup before, and know how to see an idea through and execute well. And you know, being on a neighborhood council is very different from that kind of leadership, but it made me a doer, and I'm excited to bring that kind of energy to the council.
Thanks very much, Chris. And next up from Region 5, we have Ryan Moore. Ryan?
Thank you. So apologies to Arden because I'm going to steal your answer from earlier, but I am a filmmaker. I made my first feature film that I started writing at the end of 2010. 2010 and shot in 2015 and finished in 2021. So as probably a lot of you know, making a movie involves it's running a business and it's all the creative things. It's a lot of other things. But the main thing I took away from that is I was talking to Albert Corrado, who's a great city council candidate. And he said, well, I wanted to volunteer. He said, what can you do? What are you good at? And I said, I'm stubborn. I won't give up. And that's really about it. That seeing this through for 11 years, and people literally telling me, no, you can't do that. No, that's stupid. No, you'll never succeed. I don't care. I just won't stop and won't give up. And I like to have help, but if I have to go alone, I will. And so that's the experience I would bring. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Ryan. And next we have Xantha Ships from Region 5. Xantha?
I can see the timer. So the reason that I'm now severely underemployed is that in post-COVID, I was a tour manager in the music industry. And so at the age of 23, I was tour managing my first tour, and it was an international month-long tour, 20 people in the touring party. So I am no stranger to being in leadership roles and juggling a lot of things and putting a lot of pieces in place. But I think that I'm someone who does come from an immense amount of privilege, but I think that a perspective that I have a clue into is that I have the past year, I don't have health insurance. I am struggling financially. And I think that I have a level of empathy for a lot of the issues that our neighbors are facing. And I want to be able to bring my leadership skills, my organizational skills, and my lived experience to this role.
Thank you very much, Xantha. Now for the contested regions, we're going to go on to question 3. And that is, name 2 committees that you will serve on and will consistently participate in, and a third that you want to learn more about. So we're going to go back up to Region 1 with Kristen Eggermeyer. Kristen?
Hi. 2 of the committees I'm already really, really fond of are the Green Committee and the Houselessness Committee. They're doing really incredible work, and I'm very excited to dive in deeper with both of those. There's actually 2 other committees I'm really interested in, is the Urban Design and Preservation Committee, and also the Youth Committee. I'm really excited to see what we can do with that. And also, there's one more, the Transportation and Safety Committee. I think it's almost like half of them already, but they're all really important. So I'm excited to dive deeper into them.
Thank you, Kristen. And next up from Region 2 will be Nicole Antoine. Nicole?
Hi, I wasn't unmuted, sorry. Okay, so I'm interested in the Urban Design Committee. That's a passion of mine that I've had since, I'd say probably 2014. And the other committees, I'm very interested in the Arts and Culture Committee because I do think it's very important to bring Silver Lake back to where it used to be when I first moved here 10 years ago. And that was more art galleries, cultural events, highlighting our different areas of the neighborhood of Region 2. We have a Filipino area of our neighborhood. We have a strong Cuban area of Region 2. And the other committee I'm interested in is the Homelessness and Houseless Committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nicole. And next up from Region 2 is Ben Casorla. Ben?
Hi, guys. I'm going to be a broken record, apologies, but Housing and Tenants Rights Committee, I'll continue to be a big part of no matter how things shake up. Our neighborhood is 60% renters. And so it's a huge, that's just a huge chunk of people that need to make sure that their rights are being taken care of. And then, urban planning and design. A lot of people have mentioned it. I specifically remember Albert mentioning it, and I've seen him at a couple of the meetings. And it just needs more voices. It really does, especially to make sure that we can be part of the solution to having such a large population of people living without homes.
Hey, thank you, Ben. And next up from Region 5 will be Chris Bourne. Chris?
Yeah, thank you. Oh. Thank you. I want to start a youth and education committee. As I said earlier, as a forum to bring school communities into the neighborhood council. So I also want to, I think the Safety and Transportation Committee is a place where we can affect real change in terms of walkability in school around our schools and make walking to school safer for students in Silver Lake. And I want to know more about housing and tenant rights. Obviously, affordable housing is critical to student success, and it's not a subject that I am as knowledgeable about as I want to be. So it's a place I want to go spend time and learn. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Chris. And next up in Region 5 is Ryan Moore. Ryan?
Thank you. So first of all, I would say Police Reform Committee. I want to shout out Albert again and everyone else in that committee and the good work they've done so far. Someone mentioned Millie Corrado tragically was shot by the LAPD here in Silver Lake. And so obviously we need to talk about defunding and eventually abolishing the police. And also just things like why is there no memorial for people who are killed by the LAPD, whereas our city is covered by memorials for police officers? So I think we need to challenge those very basic things that are all around us and we're like fish in water, we don't even see them. Second committee would be tenants' rights, because again, that's where we fight gentrification, and a community is the people, and without tenant protections, there'll be none of the people who have lived here will be gone because they can't afford it. And lastly, a committee I'd like to start would be an anti-war, anti-imperialism committee. I think everything is connected. The bombs that fell on Yemen are built by Raytheon. Adam Schiff, our congressman for most of us, takes money from Raytheon, and the world is connected, and we can't ignore that even at the local level. Thanks.
Thank you, Ryan. And next up we have Xantha Ships. Xantha?
Yes, I think it's hard to pick three because I think that they're all important and I think that they're all really interconnected. But I would say, not to be one of many, many, many voices who've said this, but I think that urban design and preservation is an incredibly important committee. And I think that it's really crucial that we have a diversity of voices in there, because when a development goes up, it doesn't only affect the people who can afford to live in it. I would say also the Housing and Tenants Rights Committee, which is, I think, very interrelated with UDP, and then the Ad Hoc Police Reform Committee as well, which I, to echo Arden, don't think should be ad hoc. And also, I do not believe in police reform. I believe in defunding the police, and I believe in police abolition, and that's the energy I would want to bring to that committee.
Thank you, Xantha, and all the other people from the contested regions, the at-large. Now we're going to move on to the regions that aren't contested and ask the same series of questions. The first question will be, we recognize that you have family members, full-time jobs, and outside passions. How can you assure your stakeholders that you're willing to commit the time to be an impactful, meaningful, and dedicated representative? And first up from Region 3 will be Anthony Crump, excuse me. Anthony?
Thank you. As I've mentioned before, I've already been putting in the time, quite frankly. I'm the current co-chair. I've served as co-chair in the past. I've been on the neighborhood council for upwards of 8 years, not continuous, but 8 years total. I think a lot of people underestimate the time commitment, and people are very enthusiastic at the beginning of the term. However, midway through the term, when they recognize that they're putting in 10, 15, 20, 30 hours a month, they really need to be committed to it. I've been that person. Nick and I regularly spend 30 hours a month just on the governing board agendas and answering phone calls and dealing with the city attorney's office and all of the stuff that happens behind the scenes that a lot of people don't necessarily see. City government is a complex and intricate process, and it requires time, it requires education, it requires patience, being willing to learn. It also means listening to voices that are not necessarily your own or those of your friends. So I've already been doing it, and I look forward to continuing to do it.
Thanks, Anthony. And next up from Region 4, we have Courtney Cascarell. Courtney?
My day-to-day is conducted within Region 4, and my time is very much already dedicated to this region. And I have to echo Seth about being a business owner. I think when you're a good local business owner, you continue to community build within the city that your business resides in. Focusing on the right management tactics, setting forth actions to set aside time that the role requires is something that I can promised to do. I'll be treating this position as a second job, and I'll be doing my best to follow through to not let the community down.
Hey, thank you very much, Courtney. And next up with the same question in Region 4 is Andy Taliasachi. Andy?
I can see the timer. Yeah, I think it's a really important question to ask, and one that I deeply considered for choosing to run. Local politics is incredibly complicated and something that I'm new to. And I think that as a freelancer, like I have skills in working in intense environments that like require a lot of multitasking to get anything done. I think a lot of the upfront time is going to be understanding the process and understanding the intricacies and like trying to find that transparency and then sharing that with constituents and stakeholders. And I would not have chosen to run if I didn't have the time to be impactful. Additionally, I think having a personal stake that this isn't a to-do list, like Xanthi said, will guarantee the time because it's something that will benefit myself and my community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andy. And from Region 6, we have Eric Brightwell. Eric, same question.
Hello, I can see the timer. I actually feel like I probably have more time than most. I'm a part-time worker when I do work. I haven't worked in like the last 6 months because of COVID. I am a freelance writer and I don't binge watch anything on TV. So I feel like I've got tons of time. I also feel like I freelance mostly about doing walking tours that involve history and culture of neighborhoods. I write for myself about exploring neighborhoods and cultures. And I think that those tie in with the work of neighborhood council and my interests and what committees I would want to be involved in. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. And next up, same question, David Schaefer. David?
Yeah, hi, thank you. So let me just start off by saying that when I became the chair of my department at Cal State Long Beach, a lot of people asked me whether I was going to have the time to do it. I live pretty far away, living in Silver Lake and commuting. I'm an author, so I've got my research and my writing that I do. And, I said to them, which I'm going to say to all of you now, that I wouldn't have put myself forward if I didn't think I could do it. And that's just an attestation. I don't know what the reality is going to be. But my feeling is that knowing who I am and knowing the obligations that I undertake and the things that are important to me, the commitments, these are things that I don't decide to pursue lightly. I give it a lot of consideration. Yeah, I'm hoping I have all the time. That's why I'm doing this. I can't guarantee it, but I expect that I will. It's something that is very important to me. Thank you.
Thank you, David. And now back up to Region 3 for the next question. And that is, what unique experiences and perspectives do you think you will bring as a governing board member? If you have experience with leadership or governing boards, please include that. So first up will be Anthony Crump. Anthony?
So I don't want to sound like a broken record, but obviously I've served as co-chair. I've served as a Region 3 representative. I've also served as a Silver Lake Neighborhood Council treasurer in the past. As I mentioned before, I served as the president of the board of directors for Hilltop Nursery School over in Bellevue Park. In addition, professionally, I work in community relations and public affairs for a large government agency. So I think all of those things kind of add up to giving me a great deal of experience for this particular role. I think having a really good understanding of city government, having an understanding of communities, the dynamics within communities is also important as well. And then I think lastly, I think I bring a very balanced perspective to things. One of the things that I first realized when I came on the neighborhood council many years ago was that even in a community such as Silver Lake, we are not a monolithic body. We are not homogenous. There's a diversity of opinions within our community that also need to be heard and need to be given a voice. Even those, whether they're Spanish speakers or primarily Spanish speakers or English speakers or what have you, my goal has really been to give voice to all of those different voices and to hear them all out and balance them out.
Thank you, Anthony. And I think I lost the timer there someplace, but same question for Region 4 representatives, Courtney Cascarell. Courtney?
My life's, oh, sorry.
The timer will
my
be
life-
down for one or 2 minutes. Sorry. So Charlie.
That's okay. I'll time Courtney. Go ahead, Courtney.
Okay, thank you. My life's work and experience has provided me with a unique set of skills that I can apply to this role. I think staying focused and doing what's best for the community and its residents, and most importantly, the renters and business owners and unhoused, is something that I very much stand in support of, and making sure that I do my best to represent all the above. As for leadership, I do have experience in my day-to-day being in a leadership role and managing diverse groups. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Courtney. And next up with the same question is Andy Taliasachi. Andy?
Okay, cool. I don't see the timer either, but
I'll give you the time. I'll give you 10 seconds warning.
okay. I think being a person who doesn't fit into a system, I've learned to listen a lot, to research and to deeply consider what is happening in a group of people before taking up a space or putting an opinion out. And advocacy requires listening. And I think while I'm new to leadership, I'll be able to deeply consider the people of Silver Lake and what they need in an unbiased way.
Thank you very much, Andy. And you finished early. Thanks. Next up from Region 6 will be Eric Brightwell. Eric?
Yeah, I kind of in the same boat as far as that. I don't like leading, to be honest, and I don't like being the center of attention. I don't like public speaking, but I feel called to serve, and I'm good at listening and lifting and elevating others, I think, and that's where my strengths lie, and that's sometimes what you have to do, even if you are uncomfortable being put on the spot. All right, thank you.
Hey, thank you, Eric. And next up we have David Schaefer. David?
Thanks. Yeah, I never saw myself in leadership positions, and now I find myself leading one of the bigger departments and one of the biggest college and one of the biggest universities in California. And what I found is that leadership really is about being a conciliator. It means being collaborative, and it means, as a few of you have just said, Eric, most recently, being a listener, not coming in with preformed opinions, but listening to all sides, being willing to absorb that. In other ways, I've been a board member of my union, the California Faculty Association, lobbying on behalf of the union up in Sacramento, lobbying on behalf of the creation of the ethnic studies mandate, which was passed by the California State Legislature, amongst other things. And so, yeah, I just feel like it's, I would take that philosophy that I've used in my job to the council. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, David. Now we're going to go on to the third question, which is, name 2 committees that you will serve on and will consistently participate in, and a third that you want to learn more about. And we're going to start off with Anthony Crump. Anthony?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question real fast?
Sure. 2 committees you want to serve on and one that you want to learn more about.
I think all of the committees are very exciting, and there's been some great work that has taken place in all of them. I don't know right now, quite frankly. I think, coming off of a co-chairmanship, I want to step back for a second and take a look at all of the work that's being done. I do have to applaud maybe a girl for the incredible work that she's done on the LGBTQIA community. I think that's one that's of interest to me. Our Urban Design and Preservation Committee is another one that has been of great interest to me. We've been trying to do some potential reforms in that committee for the last several months. So I want to take another look at that and see if there's something that we can do on the side of diversity there. But I think I want to step back for a second and really see what direction the new board wants to go, and also see where I should best put my resources and skills.
Thank you, Anthony. And for Region 4, same question, Courtney Casgrell. Courtney?
I'm very much interested in the Urban Design and Preservation Committee along with the Green Committee. as we're seeing increased housing density, I think it's important for Silver Lake to expand open green space while lessening our environmental impact. And I'm very much interested in learning more about the youth committee. That's all.
Thank you, Courtney. And same question for Andy Taliasachi. Andy?
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in the LGBTQIA+ committee, as well as learning more about the youth committee. I think I have a lot of hopes for pushing the neighborhood council system to being more normalized of pronouns. And I think hearing our trans youth is incredibly important to do that. And then I'm also really interested in what it would be to form a new committee focused on reimagining public safety versus hopping onto the police reform committee. So that's also something I'm considering and thinking about. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Andy. And next up from Region 6 with the same question, Eric Brightwell. Eric?
Hi. I can definitely say that I would be interested in being involved in the Safety and Transportation Committee. That's been a passion of mine for a long time. And also the Green Committee, in part because I don't think I heard anyone else talking about it. I'd like to be plugged in where I'm useful. One of the committees that I would be interested in is the Arts and Culture Committee, because one of the things that makes Silver Lake really unique is the various communities. The Latino community, the Asian American community in particular, is overlooked and rich and fascinating of Silver Lake. The queer community, and yeah, I'd like to learn more about that and share what I know and promote those that culture. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. And last but certainly not least, David Schaefer, same question, David.
Thank you. Yeah, so I've been around a long time in this area, and you know, I sometimes think about my days in first wave of punk in the late 70s and talk to some of my friends about all that's gone from Hollywood and, you know, surrounding areas that just no longer exist. So the urban design committee is something that's important to me, is, you know, to try to stem the disappearance of so much of our history in the city. History Collective obviously is important to me, you know, based on my own work. But, you know, hey, this is the thing that I found really interesting that Andy said. He talked about the reimagining public safety, about creating that committee. I think that's a great idea. So anyway, yeah, I would be interested in that as well. So thank you.
Just to be clear, Andy's pronouns are they, them.
I'm sorry. What did I? I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm sorry.
You could also put your pronouns in your name. Everyone here could, or I guess we can't adjust our names, but that would probably be the best way to do
Okay,
it.
well,
Yes, I'm sorry.
thanks everyone. And I think that winds up the candidate portion. I'd just like, as a moderator, I'd just like to say that first, I appreciate that everybody was polite and followed the rules and paid attention to the timing. As a moderator, I really appreciate that. But also as a former leader of my neighborhood council and in other spheres in Los Angeles, I'd like to say that I think personally, you guys are a good group of candidates. You're diverse. You have a lot of interesting ideas. And I think whichever ones of you get elected to the neighborhood council do a terrific job for Silver Lake. I'd like to echo some of the other things that were said. If you don't get elected, please consider serving on committees, because it's all about participating, not necessarily about being on the board itself. It was interesting for me as a union leader myself to see other union members and leaders running for office, and people from other backgrounds. I look forward to hearing from my friends that are in the Silver Lake area about how well you do when you get on the board and the things you accomplish. And maybe just one point that I think is going to be contentious that a lot of you have talked about is how we look at police in the future. I think if you're really going to accomplish something in getting police to the point where they're serving the community instead of being just a paramilitary force in the community, you're going to have to consider a lot of people want what they consider the safety and protection of the police. And my personal opinion, having been around the city for quite a few decades is that I think sometimes the police are doing things that other people are more suited for. But beyond that, I think there's a culture there that's sort of, you know, they've written books about it. Police officers have the thin blue line. I think there's a culture that needs to be reimagined, and not just the duties. I think they need to completely change the culture there and how they look at serving the community. So just a few ideas for you all to think about. I enjoyed this afternoon, and I'd like to turn it back over to Nick to close out the candidate forum. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, first and foremost, thank you so much, Charlie, for running an efficient and articulate candidate forum. Really appreciate you so much dedicating your time to our community. So round of applause to Charlie. Thank you so much. And I want to thank all of the candidates for being here. All of you really took the time to tell our community why you wanted to represent them. And I greatly appreciate that. And as a member of this community, I look forward to all of you participating, whether as elected representatives or members of the committee. I am going to review just the basic election information. But the last thing that I want to note is I just want to reiterate something that one or two, particularly the board members who are running for re-election, really reiterate or really made a point of. This is going to take more time than you think it will. Being on the neighborhood council is going to take more time than you think it will. It will take more time than you want it to take. It will be harder than you think it will be. But that doesn't mean it's not worth it. It's worth it every single moment, but it is really challenging sometimes. It is exhausting sometimes. It is inspiring other times, invigorating other times, enraging other times. And, you know, to even want to run is just an incredible feat. And I applaud every single one of you. But I hope and dearly, dearly hope that when you get elected, when it gets hard, you will rededicate yourself to it. It's going to get hard. And then it's going to get hard again. And then it's going to get hard again. And you're going to be doing this for 2 years. And people are going to drop off. Your neighborhood council members, your fellow members, they're going to drop off. Don't let it be one of you. All right. So our election is April 6th. Silver Lake community, our election is April 6th. The deadline to register is March 30th. And it is a vote by mail election only, which means you must register to vote by mail. And how can you register to vote by mail? Well, you can go to silverlakenc.org. All the election information that you will need will be on that website. We're also doing election registration info sessions. For those of you who want to be walked through how to register, all you need to do is dedicate 10 minutes to one of our info sessions, and we will walk you through. By the end of that 10 minutes, you'll be registered to vote. You'll be good to go. All right, you can sign up for those registration info sessions on silverlakenc.org. If you do not want to mail your ballot in, you can drop it off at the Silver Lake Branch Library on 2411 Glendale Boulevard. And your elections must be received in the mail by 10 days after Election Day. Election Day is April 6th. Your election must be received in the mail by April 16th. You can, to anyone in our community who wants to find out more about the election or find out more about candidates, you can reach out to slncelection2021@gmail.com and ask a question to us. We will also be putting some effort into getting the candidate bios for every single one of our candidates onto the Silver Lake Neighborhood Council website. So candidates, polish those bad boys up and send them our way, and we'll make sure they get on the website. I wish everyone the best of luck in the election, and I encourage everyone watching on Zoom and in Facebook Live, or if you're watching this as a recording, be involved in local politics, be involved in local democracy. You should get involved in a committee. Don't just count on these representatives to do your work for you. Get involved in a committee. Everybody have a great weekend, and thank you so much for being a part of this. And thank you again, Charlie, for being our host.
Thank you, Nick.